So this is Miguel Serrano. This is from a newspaper extract from Saturday, 19th of May, 1984. 1984. And of course it's in Spanish because, of course, he is from Chile. He is a Chilean national, and in Chile they speak Spanish in South America. Here under his photo, this phrase in Spanish says, "The flying discs exist." The flying discs, meaning the UFOs, the flying discs, which are electric magnetic flying vehicles. The flying discs exist, says Miguel Serrano, they were invented by the Germans. Now, I'm not going to read the word, which is the November Alpha Zulu India, because the history of that word didn't even exist in Germany. It was created. I have a channel on my Rumble, and on Rumble I have a channel for the Second World War where I explain who created that word and for what purpose. That's why I'm using the word German. Now, you're going to say, this whole thing, you see how so many people across the years, especially since the internet is popular, and especially since the video platforms like YouTube and stuff are popular, people taking things out of context and saying lies about the UFOs, about the flying discs, and everybody has like a story and a wonderful message for humanity about how these mysterious flying discs. And Miguel Serrano in 1984 in the newspaper El País, Santiago de Chile, which is the capital of Chile, Spanish-speaking country in South America, and he says, a short phrase, "The flying discs exist. They were invented by the Germans." Of course, we had flying discs in the previous eras of humanity, like in ancient India with the Vedas, but we're talking about what happened in the 20th century with the Second World War and before that. Now, you're going to say, so who was Miguel Serrano? Miguel Serrano was an ex-diplomat, a Chilean ex-diplomat, a very intellectual man. He was an ex-ambassador ex-ambassador in India, Austria, Romania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia, which Yugoslavia does not exist because you know what happened. And he did that. He worked in diplomacy as an ambassador between 1953 and 1971. Very, very hard period of time after the Second World War. Almost 20 years, 18 years of diplomacy in very difficult countries. India, Austria, Romania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia. Very difficult countries. Especially being from a Spanish-speaking background in those countries, there's nothing pretty much in common. Besides Romania, which is like the Romanian language is related to Spanish. Now, Miguel Serrano wrote many books, it's true. But the point here, the important thing to speak about is that in the English-speaking communities, nobody even wants to touch, not just English, German, Spanish, whatever. Nobody even wants to speak about this. They can talk about Miguel Serrano, about certain things that he did in his political life and in his life, his books and stuff. But when it comes to say something about the flying discs, the electric magnetic flying vehicles, which are the disc-shaped, what we call UFOs, because in those days, the word UFO pretty much became popular starting from the 1970s. Like in the 1950s and 60s, nobody said UFO. They were starting in the military to say something about it's unidentified, and then with the cinema and especially with the movies that came out with Steven Spielberg, and afterwards in the whole era of movies with Hollywood, and then afterwards when the internet was booming in the 90s, people came with this crazy stuff about aliens and UFOs. Miguel Serrano, Chilean diplomat, the flying discs exist. They were invented by the Germans. And this is to speak about the 20th century. Forget about, of course, they were invented by other humanities in the past. We speak about the 20th century and what happened during the Second World War. And there you go. And here we have the actual extract in the newspaper from 1984, El País, which means the country in Spanish, in Spanish. And this is the phrase you want. You see under his picture, this phrase in Spanish is something that, and of course, we have to respect Spanish because he is from Chile and they speak Spanish there. So see you in the next one.